तो गाइस अभी हम जाने वाले हैं लाइव। अभी मेरे इंस्टाग्राम चैनल में एक्चुअली एक चल रहा है एक्चुअली एक लाइव मार्क जकरबर्ग का। अपने सेल्स और मार्केटिंग के बारे में वो एडम के साथ बात कर रहा है एक्चुअली। एडम मोसेरी और मार्क जकरबर्ग, जिनको नहीं पता मैं बता देता हूँ। ये इंट्रोडक्शन तो ज़रूरत नहीं है, फिर भी बता रहा हूँ। द क्रिएटर ऑफ फेसबुक, जी हाँ दोस्तों। तो आज भी उनका लाइव चल रहा है, ज़्यादा बोर नहीं करूँगा, डायरेक्ट उनका लाइव में जाके आपको दिखाऊंगा। इंस्टाग्राम में उनका भी लाइव चल रहा है, अगर कोई भी देखना चाहता है तो डायरेक्ट उनके इंस्टाग्राम अकाउंट से भी जाकर देख सकते हैं। दिस इज इज इंस्टाग्राम अकाउंट और ये है उनका लाइव लाइव चल रहा है। चलो क्लिक करके देखते हैं।
Um, I mean, I don't think you can really call what what I do surfing with Kai. I think I've sometimes been um, in the same place with him while he does what he does, and I just try to stay on the foil. Um, but but no, actually, Kai was the first person who I used to play around with these e-foils, which are pretty fun. Um, but Kai was the first person who's like, look, you got to get a real foil, and that just like I think that like changed my life. I mean that it's just so much fun. It's a workout. Pumping it is awesome. It's a lot lighter. It's like you can catch waves and swells a lot more easily. So no, yeah, Kai has a big personal influence on me.
I don't know if I don't know if I would ever try surfing in the same vicinity as this guy. All right, we're getting some questions. We should jump to questions here. Tank Sinatra is asking, Instagram will be connecting brands and creators, basically acting as an agency. Maybe I can grab this one.
Yeah, go
Um,
for it.
yeah, so we're still working on it, but right now this kind of just all goes down in the DMs. Like people, creators just get messaged by brands. Sometimes all that happens off platform. Deals happen. I worry some people are getting overpaid, some people are getting underpaid. We just want to help facilitate that in a responsible way. So you can imagine being a brand and having and saying like, look, this is what I want. I want to reach 20-year-olds, women in this country, or I want to just, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever they're trying to get done. And then they could tell us, and then we could be like, all right, here's like 50 creators that you should talk to. And then, yeah, you can facilitate them. We can make it easier to connect, etc. And then from the creator side, we would love to help creators vet brands. I don't know how that would work. There's a bunch of ways we could do that, but you can get there's some bad companies out there and you can get ripped off, but there's some great ones too. And so anything we can do to help you vet brands, find brands that are looking for creators, but that also resonate with what you care about, because we know you don't want to rep something that you don't love. I think there's tools on both sides, so we want to do a lot on both sides. Taylor Lorenz is in here. Here she is. What is Instagram doing to create more transparency to branded content ecosystem? Do you want to take this, or do you want me to take this one?
I mean, go for it. I mean, I think that the marketplace that we're gonna build is gonna be quite helpful on this. I mean, right now, I think one of the things that we're seeing is that it's just it's pretty opaque. I think both for how creators should engage in it and if a creator makes a deal to do something, what the transparency is around that to consumers and people using Instagram. So part of the benefit of building a marketplace around this is just to kind of bring a little bit more order to the space. And by creating a little more of a standard, we think that we'll be able to make it so that both it's more accessible for creators, that they can make more money, um, and it's easier to engage in. But also part of the benefit of that is going to make it so that there can be a little more clarity for the people using the products, and I think that could be helpful too.
Yeah, I think transparency all the way around, right? I think people need to know when they're seeing branded content. Brands need to know their return on their investment, and creators need to know, who it's resonating with and who it's not. So the more we can. Here's a good one though. Adam the creator.
Yeah,
Can
I
I
saw
design
this.
you a new board with the sunblock meme on it?
All right, if you do that, I will use it and I will send you a photo, and you can kind of have exclusive rights to posting that. So, um,
Oh my God, I love that. I love that. Man, they're going by really fast. It's hard.
yeah.
Here's one that I can take. What do your rules apply to some people but not others? And can people buy their way out of rules? No. We have community guidelines and community standards, what is allowed to be on the platform and not. We try to be as permissive as we can because we think it's important for people to be able to express themselves. But when it comes to safety issues, we draw a line. and you can't buy your way out of that. Sometimes we make mistakes. Sometimes we take something down we shouldn't. Sometimes we should take down something and we miss it. Mark has been, I think, as hard on, or has pushed as hard as anybody else in the company at making sure we make less mistakes over time. But I do want to be honest that, we do, but we are getting, I think, a lot better. But no, you can't buy your way out of a problem.
Yeah. Hey, Adam, one question that I think would be interesting I mean, I'm kind of interested to hear you talk about this too, is, this has come up over the last several days since, I did this Discord chat with Casey Newton. And there's been a bunch of talk about, how do we help create a creator middle class instead of just all of the, just a big head basically of kind of the most successful creators getting to be huge. I think this is a really important topic because, again, I mean, our goal that you and I have discussed a lot is being able to support millions of jobs for creators doing this kind of work. And you don't do that if it's just a few people. So I'm curious to hear how you think we should do this. Just like we support small businesses, primarily more than, big companies and building their businesses on Facebook and our different apps. What are the different things that you think are going to be important to doing that with creators?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think historically, Instagram specifically has done better creating value for creators who are already established. And we haven't done as well with aspiring and experimenting creators. People are trying to just get started. And I think that's a big miss on our part. We're trying to really pivot towards that. So most all of our work on creators is focused on the small creators who are, the next generation of the creators. I think that people who think are going to push culture into the future. I think the Facebook app team, who we've been working with really closely, is doing the same. I think the question is like, how do we make sure we build for them, right? And so, like for instance, the branded content marketplace is a good example. Currently, because there's no measurement on the ad side, just to get a little businessy for a second, brands tend to go with big creators they know, but they probably overpay them and they probably underpay and don't often work enough with the smaller creators. So if we can help matchmake, we can help, drive some more, in this case, money, dollars to the smaller creators who I think can do amazing work for brands. So we're trying to find more areas like that where we can actively build with small creators in mind first. Another good example is ranking, right? Reels is the first part of Instagram that is proactively trying to find new talent and help it break. Whereas historically, we just kind of go with whatever's got a lot of engagement, who already is established. And I want to bring what we're doing in Reels to the rest of Instagram. So you just have to understand their needs directly and build for them directly. And I think we got to do that across the whole family.
Yeah, and I think the affiliate piece will be very helpful for this too, because a lot of time if you're an emerging creator, just like if you're a small business, it's not like you don't maybe start out with as big or established of a brand that the big companies are kind of going out of their way to associate with, but by showing that you can, the loyalty that people have to you, right? That they, that your followers follow your recommendations and that you can help drive sales. I mean, that's ultimately going to be the type of thing that that larger companies want to associate with. So I think through the affiliate program that we're talking about building up in the marketplace there, or on commerce, I think that will also give signal for who are going to be the people who brands should want to be associated more with. And so in a way, these things kind of all connect to each other.
Yeah. Here's one different idea, but on connections. Are there plans to share Reels to Facebook stories? Yeah. We're trying to think about Reels across Facebook and Instagram. Actually, we're currently testing a deep integration in the country of India, which has been going really well. So we want to make it so that no matter what app you use, you can connect with the Reels or whatever content you find the most exciting or entertaining or valuable. So we're definitely trying to make that as seamless as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the goal on this is definitely, I mean, if you're a creator, we want to make it so that as easily as possible, you can get as much distribution as possible, right? So, and this is when I was talking about, at a high level, there's creation tools, there's basically distribution, getting your content out there, and then getting paid for it. I mean, those are three of the main pillars, and I think we'll want to innovate on all of them, and of course, making it so that you can have a presence across the different apps and be able to easily create something in one place and share it in a bunch and, have that work together well. I think it's going to be really exciting. One of the specific things that I think, that you and I have talked about that I think that'll feel really good and I think be an interesting indicator across the apps is we can get to some sort of like shared like count or engagement count across it or view count. So now, because I think some people look at that, especially for public content, as a signal for how popular or how good this thing is. And if you can get a sense, both as the creator and your own analytics around, how big these things, how the different content that you're creating is doing, but then also individuals across the different platforms can have that shared sense. I think that'll really be a useful signal and make that a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah. And the more we can just make that transparent and easy, and then it's the creator's choice and they can just make it work for them based on whatever they want to do, I think the better. And it's hard to keep up with these comments. I haven't gone live with you before. I'm glad you're on Instagram, by the way. I'm going to give you a little bit of grief and try to get you on here more. It's part of the family,
I use Instagram every day and probably even more in some cases than I use Facebook. But I have to say, when I post stuff and like, if I kind of coordinate posting things across both, then everyone kind of gives me grief for, it's like, this is like too orchestrated. But then if I just post and so I don't know. I guess that's kind of But yes, you're right. I should be posting more stuff here. Happy to do a live here. It's fun.
Adam the creator wants to know what happened to the poke. Can we bring the poke back?
The poke is awesome. I think that poke was like in the very first, I built the first version of Facebook in a couple of weeks when I was in school, and there weren't many features. There were profiles. There wasn't newsfeed yet, so it's kind of hard to imagine these kind of social apps without newsfeed. We didn't have that. We also, I didn't add messaging until like the second week it was live. But we had poke from the beginning, and that was, I don't know, I always thought it was fun. But yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Briefly, I feel like there was like what was that app called?
What was that?
We made an app called Poke, didn't we? In like 2015, I don't even remember everything.
Yeah, it was the first version. I think that it was like the first version of stories that we made, right? Of ephemeral messaging. And yeah, it was, just it is kind of exploring that new format it was coming out, and yeah, I think it's there's been a lot of fun to have around that, but I think that it's a good idea. We should figure out how to do that.
Nice. Yeah. It was, and this was college, right? This is when Facebook was just for college. It was part of, it's like flirting, basically. It's just like a core part of like social interaction.
Yeah.
Are we thinking about an option to go live on both Facebook and Instagram? Yeah, we'd love to do that. Right now, we are just making sure both run really, really well, and are built on the similar stack so that that's possible, but that's the kind of thing we want to be able to support long term. All right, you could do, well, how much time do we got? Maybe one or two more questions? We could also popcorn someone in if you're feeling like you want to take a risk here. You never know what you're gonna get. Looks like we'll do one more question. Ask a hard one, group. What's your favorite Instagram feature? That's not a hard one. That's for Mark, though. Well, while I look for a real question, or you can buy some time for me here.
Favorite feature. I don't know. I like Explore. I think it's a pretty neat dynamic to just like have Instagram surface interesting stuff to you. We're kind of going in that direction with Reels too. I think that'll be quite good.
Here's a new one. I got a new one for you. We actually are building a video mute feature.
Oh yeah, there you go.
There you go. So you can maybe, like, if your kid runs in, or if the alarm on a car across the street goes off, you can mute your audio so that if I keep talking, and then now I'm back again. So here we go.
Although, the thing that I'm really excited about that is by the time, as part of the audio tools that we're building, some of the stuff that we're going to work on is trying to take audio, even if it's lower quality from a phone, and basically upsample it to make it better. And I know that there's a bunch of teams and folks who are working on technology to segment kind of background noise from your voice and foreground. So hopefully in the future you won't even have to mute on that. But we're not there yet. For now, we have mute, which is may not be the best feature of Instagram, but it's certainly one of the newest features of Instagram, and maybe from that perspective is useful to talk about.
Yeah, I was figuring I'm just looking for a way to plug something coming out later this week, I think. One of the things when you work here, you're always experimenting with the new tools before other people see them, and you sometimes forget. All right.
You want to popcorn someone in?
Yeah, let's pull in Tank because he's raising his hand here. But Tank, man, don't embarrass me in front of my boss, okay? Just we'll give you. This will be our last one. We'll ask you a question and then we'll wrap up. So I think you got to pull him in, Mark, because you're the host of this bad boy. Or can I?
Let's see. You should be able to, but let's see.
I should, but I'm having trouble with my Android. My team's gonna get upset about this.
All right.
I'm gonna take a picture.
I gotcha.
Hi,
Hey.
there he is. Is he very serious, or is he frozen?
It's a little of both.
I'm gonna ruin this whole thing.
How's it going?
You just got frozen, and you were just like a total angry face.
It's a pretty good resting face.
This is better than being on Ellen.
Yeah.
Way better.
So Tank switched from memes to videos.
Yeah.
So he's been an amazing Instagrammer for a long time now. Why don't you tell us a little bit about? Oh, here you go. You get to ask me in front of my boss. If you could change anything about Instagram, what would you change?
Nothing, bro. You know that. I love Instagram with all my heart.
I gave you a layup, and the window's closed. I'm not going to ask you again.
I go back and forth. I mean, I come from the era of the chronological feed, which I loved. You know what I mean? I loved the chronological feed. It was probably 3.5 years of just knowing exactly how something was going to perform within the first 30 seconds to a minute. Yeah. And you get lost now in the sauce. Like I've, done stand-up comedy, and when you are trying to put together an act, which is basically what we're doing, trying to find out what works with our audience and what doesn't, it's hard to tell if your stuff is getting seen. You know what I mean? So I had DM'd you, and you had a great idea about likes, turning them off or on, giving people the option, because I understand having likes on, if you are a sensitive person, which I can be, I would like the option to turn them off sometimes. Or like the restrict feature is a great option. One of the best features in a long time that I've seen on Instagram, because I don't want to block people, because I don't want to let them know that they've won.
Plausible deniability. I mean?
Yeah,
plausible
exactly.
Deniability.
I don't even know you exist. I'm just going to pretend this never happened. So to have the option for people to switch back from chronological to algorithmic feed, I think would be a nice option. But you guys, I have faith that you guys are doing the best that you know how for the 1 billion people that use the app. I'm one of many creators, and we all talk, but my sample is limited. I talk to other creators, and we all know what we want, but the majority of people that use the app are not on it 8 hours a day. You know what I mean? Yep. So I have to trust you guys, which don't let us down. You know what I mean?
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
I can talk about chrono, or you can talk about it, Mark. It's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's obviously pros and cons with it, and we want to make sure that people have the option to use that. So I mean, that's something that we think about. But the biggest problem is, just like you were talking about how you don't want to block people, you want to restrict them. There's sort of a loss aversion that I think most people feel, where if you go into chronological mode, you're sort of giving this incentive to a lot of accounts to just spam a lot, right, and to post a lot of content, and then you're kind of putting this decision on most people where they either have to decide, I'm going to unfollow this thing completely, or I'm going to deal with the fact that I'm getting a higher volume of stuff. And people have the loss aversion that you're talking about, where they don't necessarily want to. I guess the dynamic that you're talking about with plausible deniability is different from loss aversion, but just like people don't want to go all the way to blocking someone all the time, and a lot of time they don't want to unfollow someone because they feel like they might miss something that's good. So what we've found is that it ends up being a net worse experience, but there's certainly issues. I mean, I think the predictability that you're talking about is certainly something that's really important. And look, I mean, if we're talking about helping to support a creator economy where millions of people can have jobs doing creative work, part of supporting that is having the whole thing be a little more stable, right? It's like you can't have it so that it's so spiky, how things perform and the money that you're making. And obviously some content is going to be better than others, and you also want good things to be able to kind of perform better and make more money. But I do think just making sure that the system feels transparent and has enough stability is just going to be an incredibly important part of supporting the creator economy overall.
Yeah, I felt the chronological timeline was a little bit more honest. It was more honest feedback. So like there's definitely pages out there that will post 30, 40 times a day, and believe it or not, they're still dominating the timeline. So instead of seeing 30 posts, you're seeing 8, 9, or 10. But if someone posts once or twice, you're seeing 0. You know what I mean? So they're still dominating the feed.
It depends. I mean, if that's happening, that means that I'm not doing my job well on the ranking side. I think the thing, and then I know we're not going to agree on this because we've had this conversation before, but I think the key thing is what we found is that when we rank feed and we try to make the most of people's time by doing our best, and we make mistakes, but doing our best to show them what they're most interested in, they end up happier if we ask them like how satisfied are you with Instagram or with Facebook. But they also end up using Instagram on Facebook more, which then ends up helping creators overall get more engagement. Yeah. So it increases the overall pot. That's the tension. But look, I hear you. It's more complicated. It means that things are less stable. Like Mark said, we have to, like, if you're building a business, then like certainly stability is important. So never say never, but that's the thinking right now.
There have also been times where I've posted, something and it tanked and I deleted it, and then another thing and it tanked, I deleted it, and then like the third or fourth thing I posted, it killed, and I'm like, oh, it wasn't the algorithm. You sucked for 2 hours. Okay, got it.
Well, I mean, time of day and all that stuff matters too. So it's not just the content. But all right, I got a question for you though. While you're here, what's it going to take to keep the memes coming though?
Yeah.
Which memes?
Just keeping them coming.
All of them?
Yeah. Well, no. It's like, I mean, we're talking about how we're moving from memes to video. I'm just like, I just want to make sure.
As long as the world keeps turning, the memes will keep churning. So there was a point in time, like 2015, I was making, it was crazy. I was making like 10, 15 memes a day. And I was like, there's no way I can keep this up. This is I cannot keep this pace up. And then I started to slow down. And then in year 3, I started to like really slow down. I was making like 3 or 4, and I started to worry I was going to run out of content. And then I was like, you know what? As long as the world keeps staying the way it is, humor's been around since people could grunt. You know what I mean? People would point at something and be like, So it's humor's always going to be something that I think attracts people to whatever platform it is, whether it was books or newspapers, TV, radio. Now it's Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. It's I just started making reels because I get indignant about my page sometimes, and when I feel like I'm losing control of my page and it doesn't belong to me anymore, I just shove my face in people's face. So that's what that was about. I just felt like people needed to know who I was or remember. Yeah, like I'm Tank Sinatra. So if you don't like it, you need to unfollow me. So the memes are coming back.
You do encourage people to unfollow you more than anybody else I follow, which I appreciate.
What'd you say?
You encourage people to unfollow you more than anybody else I follow, which I appreciate. If
you're not having a good time here, there's so many other pages that you can go follow. You know what I mean? There's so many. And if you feel like you miss me after a while, you're welcome to come back at any time. So that's how I feel. I unfollow and refollow people all the time.
Yeah, so do I.
Thank you for this. This was the highlight of my life.
This is awesome. Thanks for stopping by, and I love the content. So it's
I don't know how to get out of here, so you guys.
I think we're gonna wrap up the whole thing. So that's a good point.
My mother-in-law, when she FaceTimes my kids, she's like, "Hang up on me."
All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up overall, but this is good. All right. Good seeing you.
All right. Thanks
Bye.
for coming, Mark. Thanks for coming, Tank.
All right. See you guys.
तो दोस्तों वीडियो ख़त्म हो चुका है। जैसे कि आप देख सकते हैं कि मार्क, सिनात्रा और एडम, जिसमें कि मेरे को खुद भी नहीं पता है सिनात्रा और एडम कौन है, लेकिन हाँ सिनात्रा के बारे में मैंने सर्च किया तो पता चला कि वो एक बहुत बड़ा मेमर है। लाइक कह सकते हो कि बहुत ही फेमस और मोस्ट रीपोस्टेड मेमर है, जिसके मेम्स को दुनिया यूज़ करती है। तो ये हमारा एक आज का लाइव स्ट्रीम था जो कि अभी ख़त्म हो गया। और मैं भी वो लाइक क्या बोलते हैं सॉरी। तो हाँ, तो बस मैं इतना ही बोलना चाहता हूँ कि हाँ, मिलते हैं आपको अगले लाइव स्ट्रीम में। तब तक के लिए टाटा, सी या, टेक केयर, स्टे सेफ। और हाँ, सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो सब्सक्राइब कर देना ज़रूर। मिलते हैं आपको, ओके, तो मिलते हैं आपको अगले वीडियो में। तो टाटा, टेक केयर।